Welcome to Walk with Intention. This is your reminder to get up, get out, do something intentional, read, write, go for a walk. I'm here with Dyanna, and we're going to be asking 14 intentional questions plus a few bonuses because she's a creative designer and a genius all around. So we have to make the most of this one. Okay, so first question, which actually was given by our last interview, is how has past challenging moments or seasons shaped your relationship with the Lord?
Wow, that's a great question. Just jump right in. I think in every challenge, we have the opportunity to either let it break us or let it build us.
Yeah.
And so the way I have changed from past challenges when I handle them correctly. So that's the thing is not every challenge I have grown in my relationship with the Lord, but I would
Yeah.
say most of them and all the healthy ones.
Yeah.
Just being able to see his grace and see his compassion sometimes of just saying, hey, I got you, you're okay, everything's good, has helped me to get through and to grow stronger. And so I would just say revealing a new dimension of God
Yeah.
in and on the other side of challenges.
I like that. Okay. That was a really dive deep in, but I'm glad you answered it because that was worth the question.
Cool.
First question we usually ask is how are you today and why?
I am pretty good today. I am feeling a little bit overwhelmed because I have a lot to do
Yes.
and I haven't managed my time super proficiently, but it's going to be a great day.
It is gonna be a great day. And what is it called? Bob Ross calls it happy accident. So there could be something great that comes out of this.
For sure. I mean, we're out here in this beautiful weather.
Literally.
Wonderful atmosphere. It's good.
And for context, we did film one of these before and it was freezing cold.
Oh my gosh, so cold.
And there was an audio issue. So actually it turns out pretty nicely that we can do this again.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Next question is what or who lights up your life?
This way? That way?
Yeah. This way.
Okay. So I love quality conversations that are intellectual and I love to laugh. So people who I'm able to have a deep conversation with and enjoy something fun with, that's what lights up my life, or who lights up my life.
That's awesome. And has that always been the way for you, or has that always been true for you, or did that kind of adjust over time?
Growing up, I was actually really serious and I was very quiet.
Yeah.
So I think it has grown over time. I can't necessarily pinpoint when, but like when my husband and I started dating, my mom pointed out how good he was for me because he made me laugh and lighten up.
That's awesome.
And she had always been concerned that I was too serious. So I don't know. I guess just as you mature and age and grow, you learn that the way you've always been doesn't have to stay.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. So, what would you do if you knew you could not fail?
Fly? Wait, no.
Fly? Oh, okay.
I mean, I probably would.
Yeah.
I would have the whole invisible airplane like Wonder Woman.
That's cool.
But I don't think that's a realistic goal.
But if you couldn't fail,
so if you couldn't fail, well, let's stick with fly.
Okay, cool. I like it. That's interesting. For me, I would teleport.
Ooh,
because I just love the idea of imagining a place and going there.
Yeah.
And then be able to come right back.
As long as you were intentional about it, because what if you just imagine like being in the middle of war and then there you are?
No, that would be terrible.
Well, the trail ends. I'm not sure we've gone the right path.
Probably not. This way then? Okay. Unless this was that loop.
Maybe this was that little picnic loop.
Okay.
Maybe switch sides though.
Switch sides, yes. Okay, next question. Are you finding your dream job or are you creating it?
I think I'm, a little bit of both.
Yes.
So the way my life has worked is one step at a time, just saying yes and stepping into it. And I would say for the most part, thriving in each step of the way.
Yeah.
Um, but not really. I knew I wanted to work in television,
Yeah.
but I didn't plan for where I am now. So it was just
Okay.
like one step at a time, one door opening, going through it, all prepared me for where
Yeah.
I am. So a little bit of both of I'm finding out that, hey, this is a dream to work in this position, and then also being faithful and committed, and that's what's creating the next step.
Okay. And what drew you to television in specific?
So when we moved to Texas, we moved here because of Kenneth Copeland Ministries.
Yeah.
And when we moved, they were shooting one of the children's movies for Super Kid Academy. And we
Oh.
began volunteering while they were shooting. Like we did everything from craft services to wardrobe, to props, whatever.
Yeah.
And when we started working with that group of people, I was like, this is where I want to work. Because the people were real, they loved God, but they weren't all religious about it.
Yeah.
And so I just really wanted to be around people like that. And so that's what made me want to start working in television. I was 16 at that time. They offered me a job right away. I was like, a little soon.
Yeah.
So then a couple of years later, they called me, offered me the job again, and I took it. I think this is that loop, and we're just going to keep walking around and around.
What about that one left that it had?
Try it.
Let's try this one. Let's try this one. I trust you. Okay. That's cool. I didn't know you worked with one of the Super Kid movies.
Yes.
Literally, I grew up on that, so it's
good stuff.
It's good stuff. So what was the experience like, kind of working on a set with all these different elements, and just knowing that it was going to turn into something more?
It was amazing. I mean, same thing as you. I grew up watching like Gunslinger and Super Kids, and so to move here and be able to work on it was like awestruck.
Yeah.
To see how things happen and how many takes they have to do, how many camera angles.
Yeah.
It was just like all immersive, amazing experience and great training for television, because unless you've been in it, you don't realize how much goes into it.
Yeah.
Scripts and storyboards and all that. So I think it was an amazing experience.
So, true or false, whenever you work on a project like, say, one of those movies or like an episode of Inside the Vision, is it hard for you to watch it back because like you don't see it like a viewer sees it, you see it on both sides?
I mean, mostly no. I do have an eye for detail, so if something is out of place, like I can get distracted while I'm watching the movie or the episode or whatever. But like Inside the Vision in particular, we do reviews ahead of time, so by the time it airs, it's all clean and pretty. So at that point, I'm able to just like soak it in of, wow, this is really cool.
Okay, that's awesome. I love that. That's really cool. Okay, that's healthy, because I know a lot of like Johnny Depp, he cannot watch back anything he's been in.
Wow.
Because he can't see it the way that everyone else sees it. Yeah. So I was like, I guess I was curious on whether that's like across the board. Okay. I changed my mind. If you could create a solution to any problem, where would you start?
Where would I start? Oh man. Well, you know that like ending human trafficking is big on my heart.
Yes.
And so the place I have already started is putting my money to support ministries who are doing that.
That's awesome.
And so do I feel like me as an individual can make a difference in rescuing somebody personally? No, but I can empower those who are.
Yeah.
And the way I can help end it is to keep my family healthy, to train my sons to respect women, to be a good wife to my husband. And so that's a very small step in ending it, but putting resources and supporting those who are doing the work and putting the effort in. Yeah. That's what I can do.
No, that's actually really important. Like, I was having this conversation with my brother the other day, but we were talking about war, but we were talking about the importance of not everybody being a part of the war.
Yeah.
And like how I didn't realize the economic effect of people staying home and taking care of things.
Yeah.
Because regardless of what caused it, right? Um, say everything ends, things go back to peace. If nobody was taking care of
Yeah,
home or nobody was taking care of what like was going on, there's nothing to return to.
it's true.
So in the same way, like you may not be going out there and doing the work, but you are helping the work continue.
That's
So
good.
that's actually really awesome to kind of,
That's a good perspective that you brought up.
yeah. I'm taking macroeconomics, so I'm
Nice.
seeing the whole world in the economic lens. It's kind of weird, but I like it.
That's good.
Um, next question. Tell me about a time you overcame a challenge.
Um, well, just yesterday,
Yeah,
uh, I it sounds petty at this point, but in the moment, it was like a super big deal.
yeah,
So I'd placed an order at a local retail store that shall remain nameless because
yes,
I'm still a little bit irritated at them.
yeah,
Placed an order. They called me, said it was delayed. Called me again yesterday, said it was delayed again, and
yeah,
so I was like, okay, no problem. Let me just pick it up how it is, and I will, take care of the rest of it on my end. And so talked to the lady who had called me, and she I was like, are you giving me a discount because of this big, delay? She's like, well, I'm sure we will. I'm like, but if I pick it up now in this status, so I was getting a piece of art framed.
yeah,
Um, are you going to refund me for what I paid? And she was like, well, you didn't pay. I'm like, nope, I did. And she was like, well, let
yeah,
me let you talk to my manager. So she puts the manager on the phone. And I said, since this was delayed a second time, I just need to pick it up and I'll have somebody else take care of it. I'll have somebody else do the frame. And I said, can I get the refund for the difference between stretching the canvas and framing it? She was like, well, you didn't pay for it. Like, nope, I have the receipt right in front of me. Pretty sure I did pay for it.
yeah,
And she was like, no, that's impossible. I'm like, I'm looking at the receipt.
yeah,
She was like, well, you'll have to bring it in. I'm like, well, I wasn't planning on handling it over the phone. She was like, okay, well, if you bring it in, we'll take a look and see. I'm like,
yeah,
okay. So I go in and talk to a different manager, unfortunately. And he was really not any better. Didn't apologize on behalf of the company.
mm-hmm.
Didn't, still questioned, well, I have to make sure we still have the frame if we're going to refund you anything. I'm like, okay, please do.
Yeah,
So the only thing that helped me calm down, because literally when she more or less called me a liar, I was shaking. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm looking at the receipt. You're telling me it's impossible. Okay.
yeah,
So the only thing that helped me calm down is realizing, okay, I represent the Lord and Kenneth Copeland Ministries.
yeah,
I cannot flip my lid to this person.
yeah,
So again, like it sounds petty now, but being called a liar is like the worst to me.
literally,
And so I just kind of talk myself down, like, okay, it's fine. I'm going to get my product. They did not offer me any kind of discount for my trouble. And the other
okay,
manager did not provide a sufficient apology. But you
yeah,
know what? In the grand scheme of things, it's fine.
right.
Life goes on. I have my art and it'll be framed well.
I'm glad you have your art and it'll be framed. That is kind of wild, honestly.
It was ridiculous.
But I'm glad you handled it well, because that's not great when someone starts. I mean, that's like, what's it called? Is it called gaslighting? Like,
I mean, basically,
essentially?
yes. Basically. So yeah, because when the second manager didn't even apologize, he was like, "Well, this is why she reacted that way." And I'm like, "Great, I understand you sticking up for her, but you still shouldn't treat customers like that." Like, no, no, that's
Absolutely.
why I said sorry for your trouble. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
I'm sure
Actually,
there's much better examples of overcoming challenges, but that's a recent one.
no, but that's a real everyday life one.
It is.
Um, I mean, some of the viewers probably even have gone through that.
Probably
Um,
so.
so next question, which is a perfect segue then. What does kindness mean to you?
Well, treating people well even when they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Kindness, like I had it tattooed on me because it is so important to me of being able to be kind to people because you
Yeah.
don't know what they've been through, which was part of the scenario yesterday. Was I was thinking, okay, if I meet this manager, I'm gonna
Yeah.
just ask her straight off, like, are you having a bad day? Is there
Yeah.
something I can do to help you?
Yeah.
But then when it wasn't her, I didn't have that opportunity. Um, so people, we all have stories. We all have things we've gone through, and I think it's so important to remember that in interacting with people, of just expressing kindness, trying to find the common ground, trying to find a way to work through whatever situation it is and try to bring out the best in people.
Yeah, I love that. You know, so it makes me think of the China. So there's we know the word grace, and there's charis and all that,
Mm-hmm.
but in Chinese it's called Chen, and like the depiction they use is like a superior being kneeling down to an inferior being and filling the gap in between them.
Hmm.
And I was like, that's kind of interesting, like when you look at like God and us,
Yeah.
but then also like person to person, when you know, okay, I have self control.
Mm-hmm.
I know this situation isn't great. People shouldn't treat people like this, but let me fill the gap
Yeah.
and make the situation better.
Yeah.
So I love that connection. And you practiced it. So
Well,
we know you know what you're talking about, right?
I sure tried.
Okay. So the next question I have is, what inspires you to ask intentional questions? And just some background, she asks really intentional questions. Actually, that's kind of why I ask more intentional questions now.
So I had been working with um, our Canadian office to capture some stories
Yeah,
back in 2017. And the co producer I was working with was really good about asking intentional questions. And so
yeah,
that inspired me to do the same, of, getting beyond just the normal everyday kind of icebreaker questions and really dig into what matters to people.
yeah,
And then, striving to be a better interviewer, I would copy the work of Oprah or Adrian Bankert and see
yeah,
what they were asking people, and just how to, I think when you ask something that digs deeper than the surface level, you instill value in the person you're talking to.
yeah.
And I want to be able to do that as often as I can.
I like that. So instilling value, asking better questions comes from instilling value in others, but also caring about them,
Caring.
right?
Yeah, you have to care what they think to
Yeah,
ask, or you just, you know, fill the time.
that's cool. So what do you think makes people ask autopilot questions then?
It's easy, and sometimes they
Mm,
don't. It's not necessarily intentional on their part, but sometimes they don't care.
yeah,
Um, they're in a hurry. They're just being polite,
yeah,
and so they don't want a deep conversation. And sometimes people aren't comfortable with who they are personally, that
yeah,
they don't want to ask somebody because then they don't want to be asked
that's
something
fair.
deeper than surface.
Okay,
And sometimes it's just hard to come up with something.
that's that is fair. Do you think, okay, does it take some level of like research to
Thank you,
ask
guys. You
better
don't have to
questions?
stop.
Appreciate
Does
it.
it take some level of research to ask better questions?
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. Um, I will often like check Pinterest and just find where they have lists of 20 questions or
same.
things that you can ask people, and so I will routinely check that and highlight some of the ones that stand out to me, screenshot them, keep them on my phone,
Yeah,
because it's especially hard. Like, I interview a lot of people from a lot of different areas, a lot of backgrounds, and so you can start with like the normal, where are you from?
yeah,
Are you married? Do you have kids? Whatever. And then what?
yeah,
And so, do you have pets? But especially like people that either aren't married, don't have kids, and then what's left, and you're
yeah,
just sitting there in silence. So being able to
yeah,
find something um, that makes them light up and excites them to talk about, because then you're
yeah,
going to have a good interview if it's something that they're passionate about and they love.
yeah. I love that. Um, Vanessa Van Edwards. I read a book by her called Cues: The Secret Language of Charismatic Communication.
I need to get that.
And literally, she talks about charisma and how charisma is this blend of personality.
Okay.
There are people who are warm, right? And there are people who are like competent, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the telltale signs if you're talking to a warm or competent person is warm people will show you more of their palms
Oh,
because they're essentially telling you, I'm a friend, not
I'm
foe.
open. Yep.
Yeah. people who are more competent want to display more power
Yeah.
or more like assertiveness.
Uh-huh.
So they'll show you more of the backs of their hands, right?
Interesting.
So if you notice, like just gestures and everything, they
Yeah.
won't reveal a lot of like palm face.
Huh.
But then, if you look at charisma is that middle between warmth and competence.
Okay.
So if there is some not so great stuff right there, just FYI. But charisma is that mix where a warm person finds their competence.
Mhm.
They still lean and rely heavily on warmth, but they add in a little bit more of that like assertiveness and everything else. And vice versa. Competent people take on a little bit of warmth.
Oh, I like that.
Here's the thing. For warm people, the benefits of their personality are it's welcoming, inviting, trustworthy, etc. For competent people, it's that they are respected, considered to be authoritative, assertive, etc.
Okay.
If they don't cross that bridge, the strengths of the opposite become their weaknesses.
Oh, wow.
So um, for competent people, they might not be trusted,
Yeah.
even though they're respected.
Okay.
And for warm people, they might not be respected, even though they're trusted.
Interesting.
So finding that middle
that
balance is huge. But then she also talked about the importance of asking good questions
Mhm.
and how we put people on autopilot when we say, "What do you do for work? How's your job?
Mhm.
How's the family?" Versus saying like, what what are you passionate about?
Mhm.
What is something that like what's an element of your life that you're grateful for?
Yeah.
Different questions that get them to the same point, but they have the option on how they want to share.
That's great.
So that's kind of cool how you're saying that because it ties right back
I like
to
it.
it. Yeah.
That's something I'll definitely want to read.
Yes. Literally, her next book is coming out, I think next year.
Okay.
But it's the first one was Captivate, the second was Cues, and the third one is another C. I have no idea what it is. But
when you say Q, CUES or
CUES.
like, okay.
Yeah. Captivate, I think, is more about body language and how we interpret it as humans.
Okay.
And then Cues is more about charisma.
Okay.
So this third one might tie those two together and add a little bit of something else in there too. So it'll be interesting to see what she does with it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then soon we'll eventually have a Dyanna book, you know?
You never know. Might happen.
So next question is, what does calm mean to you?
I think it's a sense of peace.
Yeah.
Like finding that place where you can be quiet physically, emotionally, spiritually, because there's so much activity happening around us.
Yeah.
So being able to, woo, thank you,
Yeah.
find a sense of peace in the midst of it.
Okay. So being able to find a sense of peace in the middle of like fast life, chaos, overwhelm, all this stuff.
Yeah, all the stuff that we deal with
Yeah.
as humans. You know, full schedules,
Yeah.
activity. Sometimes in this great age of being connected, you can be over connected and overstimulated.
Yeah.
So being able to disconnect in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't stress you out and overwhelm you.
Okay. That's a healthy answer. I like it. Do you personally embrace or avoid silence?
I embrace silence.
Yeah.
If I'm either by myself, obviously you're bound to be silent.
Yeah.
But with someone that I'm comfortable with, I don't try to fill the gap just so that it's not quiet.
Yeah.
I am happy being quiet with myself. I'm happy being quiet with people.
Yeah.
If it's somebody that I don't know, then yeah, it's a little awkward. But the people that I know and I'm friends with, I don't mind it at all.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that. I need to find other um responsive words. I like that and I love that. But no, I do though. And one of the reasons why I learned that's so important is silence in between conversations sometimes can actually even help someone understand what you're saying better. Because if you fill something with
Mm-hmm.
noise, you could finish everything you need to say.
Yeah.
But then at the end of it, that person's like, oh, I retained this much. And
Yep.
they throw everything
You
else
can't
away.
process.
Yeah.
That's good.
So there's a TED talk on the power of silence.
Oh.
And he said, I'm going to demonstrate the power of silence, something, something, something. And he starts talking about something, and then he stops, takes a sip of water. And you hear somebody audibly like cough or make a noise or
Uh-huh.
whatever. And he said, that's what happens when people aren't used to silence.
You have
Somebody
to
has
fill
to
it.
fill the noise. And he
Wow.
said it's an old principle from like Socrates or whatever.
Okay.
And essentially it's the idea that if you create a vacuum, something
Someone.
has to fill
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see like when things go silent, who perks up first? Because you're like, okay, you don't like silence. I
Yeah,
get that. I get that.
for sure.
But it's really healthy too because it has all these benefits like reducing cortisol levels
Mm-hmm.
in the body, kicking the stress out, producing new brain stems, refreshing your brain, like helping you to see something from a different
Yeah.
perspective if you're working on a project. And it ties back to mind breaks where you like take a step back
Yeah.
and when you come back, everything looks better and feels better.
Do you know what's the science on how long it has to be?
So 5 minutes can give you a brain refresh and like a little bit of a recoup.
Okay.
But then for anything 60 minutes and above, you are granted boosting creativity, um, creating new brain stem cells, lower cortisol levels in the body, which actually helps improve insomnia. So like sleep issues can be related like to stress levels,
Yeah.
but stress levels actually can be related to how much noise you experience in that day.
Oh, okay.
So
That makes
in
sense.
Japan, that's one of the things they've been battling.
Yeah.
They got other stuff going on, but that's one of the things they've been battling as far as noise pollution.
Yeah.
They control the noise levels just to kind of protect people's mental and emotional health, and it is useful.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Because if
Yeah,
you're overstimulated and surrounded by noise, it drains you.
literally. So that was. I'm glad you embrace silence
I do.
because it's actually healthy for you. And it's increasing your creativity, producing new brain stem cells. That was the biggest one for me. I was like, brain stem cells?
Right.
Okay, I didn't think you could get more of those, but I'll take them.
For sure.
How do you see design as a designer, creative, genius, all that?
Well, it always starts with usually one piece of inspiration, whether it's a color palette, whether
Yeah,
it's a structure that I want to tie into the overall design. But it always starts with the intention.
yeah,
Um, so, depending on what the project is for, is it supposed to feel warm and inviting? Is it supposed to feel very clean and modern? Are we wanting people? How do we want people to feel when they look at it? And
yeah,
so, it you have to know the intent, but then it always starts with a piece of inspiration.
yeah,
Um, and so for me, if I have that piece of information that will inspire me, then I can build the whole set or studio around that so that it all flows together with colors, with designs, lines, all that. Um, so yeah, just, and again, I can find inspiration anywhere, whether it's a house in a neighborhood, a
yeah,
magazine, Pinterest.
yeah.
um, but yeah, that's
What
how it starts for me.
what do you draw inspiration from like out here?
Um, so I love being in nature. It's a little bit dead right now,
Yeah,
but still, like anytime outdoors. I mean, probably for me, like that color that's blending like amber with green.
yeah,
Like I don't see that in everyday life or even in design, but to
yeah,
see how God does it on that tree is
yeah,
inspiring to me because I'm like, huh, I can mix those two colors. If God can do it, so can I.
yeah,
And for me, like just seeing how God is so particular with itty bitty tiny things and then the epic, ginormous landscapes that we see. But
yeah.
like when I look at those tiny, tiny flowers that are blooming, I think,
Mm.
how did he do that?
Right.
It's minuscule and yet still has little petals, still has the pollen, still has everything that it takes to grow a flower, but it's tiny. Yeah.
And the individual design, because some of them are
Yes,
different and have different aspects. That's so
completely.
cool. Like, it would take forever to hand paint
Oh my goodness.
100
No kidding.
flowers.
No kidding.
And they bloom and renew and all that other stuff
Yeah.
every year.
I was outside yesterday and saw the tiniest bug I've ever seen. Like it was just, you couldn't even tell legs and body. It was just like the point of a pin, not the head of a pin, the point
Just
of
a
a
point
pin.
of a pin.
And just that God took time to create that is remarkable.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. You know, I like the way you pinpoint design to a single item versus a whole piece, because I feel like creatively people get hung up on like, well, I want the whole thing to be like this and to be like that, but like finding that piece
Yeah.
and then building around that piece.
It's the only way I can do it. If I try to do the whole thing, it can be overwhelming.
That's valid. That's fair. Okay, I will ask this question
I don't
and
know
then
if
I'm
we need
gonna,
to turn around
yeah,
because I don't know that this makes a loop.
let's turn around because this is getting a little steep. Okay, switch. Okay, next question. In your dream interview,
Ooh.
what would your top 3 questions be with
Laura
Mrs.
Bush.
Laura Bush? Laura Bush. I keep hearing Ruth in my head, and I'm like, it's not Ruth.
You
Okay,
know,
Laura
maybe
Bush.
there's a really special Ruth that I'm supposed to interview, and you're going to connect me to her.
Okay,
I don't know.
I would be honored.
Okay, so when I'm able to interview Mrs. Laura Bush,
Yeah.
one of the things I will ask her is if she ever saw becoming a first lady happening in her life. Like,
Yeah.
did she dream of this as a child? Was it something that was just a step by step? She supported her husband, or what?
Okay.
And then I would ask, like, what she learned being, you know, governor's wife and then first lady. What did she learn that she couldn't have anticipated?
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be so much of the experience that you just, there's no other way. Like, nobody else gets that opportunity. So
yeah.
her like takeaways. And then what she would tell her younger self. So
Okay.
those would be my top 3 questions for her.
That is cool. I like that. And also, that's a good segue because I'm working on a project inspired by you.
Ooh.
Where I'm asking 365 individuals what they would say to their younger selves if their younger selves ask for advice about the future.
Well, I love that you're doing that. I think it will be inspiring to people to think about, you know, growth and change and being intentional of passing down wisdom to other young people if they, since they can't go back and tell their younger self something.
Yeah.
It's a great project.
Thank you. And also, a good part of it was got to go to a retirement home facility and interview 4 wonderful individuals.
That's awesome.
Barbara,
let them pass.
Barbara, Naomi, David, and Rachel.
Yeah.
And they talked a lot about kindness, kind of like what you did.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about it from different perspectives, not judging people and like hate, and how both of those are actually a waste of time.
Oh.
They're like, there's so much in life, so much to do, so much to like be a part of, that like hating, it's like you're wasting energy. And then judging, it's like, okay, but you literally have stuff on your own plate. Yeah. How do you have time to like put something else on top of it that's not even yours?
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, that's
interesting. Good. That's really good.
And then Rachel, I asked her, how would you help somebody who was judging? And first of all, she said, well, I'll just tell them straight up, stop judging. And then
that's all you need.
Literally, right? And then she added in that first, if you find someone who's being negative, right, seek to understand why they're being negative. Once you know why they're being negative, then just show them a better way.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control somebody else's actions,
Right.
but you can give them the opportunity to act differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we did talk about this in the
We
last
did,
time.
yeah.
And you talked about, do you remember?
Yeah, I told you, you can't change anybody's mind.
Yeah.
Like, you can't make them act differently than they are, but you can present another way of, if you continue showing kindness, if you continue to be a nice person, if you continue to treat them with respect, maybe they'll see that they don't have to act the way they are.
Yeah.
And maybe it will change your interaction with them. Now, maybe it won't, and you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
But at least showing that the way they're handling things
Yeah.
isn't the only way.
Yeah.
And we don't know what their background was and why they handle things the way they do.
Yeah.
But showing kindness and hoping that it inspires them.
I like that. There's an old like Chinese proverb, or maybe it's just a proverb, but it's not in the Bible. It's just like a proverb.
Yeah.
But they say old men plant trees that they'll never sit underneath the shade of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a like nice way of putting kind of what you said. You won't always see
Yeah.
the effect.
Yeah.
But you're still planting a tree that somebody will take the shade of.
Absolutely.
So it's worth it, even if it's not for the person right in front of you.
Living for legacy.
Exactly, living for legacy. Explain that.
Well, it's what you said of putting something into the future that you may never reap the benefits of.
Yeah.
It's living your life so that somebody else can be inspired, somebody else can have a better life, somebody else can see what you've done and build upon that.
Okay. Living for legacy. Keep that in mind. That's a bar right there.
Jeremy Pearson talks about the legacy we keep and the legacy we leave. And so he's a good example of, he came from the household of faith.
Yeah.
But if he lets it stop with him, what are his kids going to experience? What are the people in now his church going to experience? So he's keeping the legacy of faith that he received, and he's leaving a legacy of faith for those after him.
I like that. So you take, benefit from the fruit, and then plant the seeds.
Yep.
Never throw your seeds away. Never throw your seeds away. Okay, next question. When was the last time you tried something new?
That's a good question. See, I want to have some really cool answer of like, I went skydiving.
Soon, eventually, right?
Rode a motorcycle or something like that. But I don't have that.
Yeah.
So let's do that real quick and then pick up on the interview.
Got you. Perfect.
Let's see, tried something new. Feel pathetic. No, that's too strong of a word. Yeah, I think every day we're trying new things, and they may not be dramatic, but it might be trying a different way to handle something.
Yeah.
Trying a food that we've never considered before. Trying meeting somebody that we wouldn't normally talk to.
Yeah.
So I think just to make myself feel better, I think it's important to recognize the little things that may not seem to be a big deal that we're trying.
Yeah.
And acknowledge that, hey, I'm doing something different, I'm doing something new, and embracing that.
Yeah. I love that.
What about you? When was the last time you tried something new?
The last time I tried something new. That's a good question.
Ooh, I did an actual in-person bar class with you.
Oh, that's right.
I had never done in person. I'd only done an app.
Let's go.
There you go.
See. I guess it's a little, like I've been doing for a little bit now, but instructing in Pilates or bar class, it's been really fun though, because when I first started, I was just doing it as like a kind of recovery kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Just rehabbing my shoulder and kind of taking it as preventative care.
Okay.
But then, with school and busyness, it just kind of seemed like a good kind of a fit. I actually just wanted to be a front desk person.
Oh, wow.
And my current lead told me that, she's the best, by the way, but she told me, have you considered being an instructor? And I kind of, let me think about it. And I was just looking at other stuff and trying to figure out what would be the best fit with school. And I just felt this like little nudge, like, Shalom, have you considered Pilates? And I was like, yeah, that's gonna be hard though. And so I was like, okay, let me just try it. I started. It was kind of an intense 4 days of training,
Yeah.
and then another intense 30 days of training. But it was really cool. I guess just seeing the impact on the class and seeing people who may not have believed in themselves when they started the class get to the end and they're like, wow, like I did that, or this was really cool. And just being able to like add that fuel and encouragement as they're working through it. That for me is what keeps me through all the hard parts of teaching.
Well, you're a good instructor because you do encourage people and you have this lightness to your energy. So it helps people work through the hard stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I actually have been telling my class like these days, I've been saying, if you can get through a bar class, you can get through anything.
That's right.
Because I'm like, you know what? Like, it's just good to remind yourself that life is not as hard as it seems. Because if you've gotten through something before, you'll be able to get through the other things you face.
That's right.
Hey, kind of like it would be crazy if Michael Jordan won what's it called? That first championship and then went, oh, I could never do it again.
Right.
You know, like it's wild because he's already done it.
Right.
But just challenging yourself. Yeah. He even tried golf. I mean, like, why not? You know?
You don't know until you try.
Exactly.
You can't let fear stop you from trying.
Never. Next question. What is the key to healthy and long-lasting friendships?
Okay. So from my opinion, the key to healthy and long-lasting friendships is being your authentic self.
Okay.
If you try to keep up a facade just to fit in with a certain person or a certain group, at some point it's going to stress you out. Yeah. And then at some point the mask is going to come off and they're going to see who you really are. Yeah. And at that point, they're going to feel betrayed because you've lied to them about who you are. So I always think, be yourself. Yeah. Always be open to change and improve, but don't try to be somebody that you're not just to fit in.
I like that. How did you learn that?
For me, I think it was just by practice. I've always been kind of comfortable in my own skin. Yeah. And growing up, that meant I didn't have a lot of friends. Yeah. People just, you know, I was raised in a Christian home, was homeschooled, and pretty strict in my beliefs, and I didn't really care if people agreed with me or not. Yeah. So I would say it started out of just knowing who I am and being comfortable with that. But because of what I just said, as I was pretty strict about it, yeah, I learned and improved to not be judgmental about it. And that's when I started getting real long-lasting friendships.
I like that.
So being authentic started as a child of just, I think my parents probably helped me with that, of just, you know, instilling in me, you're the way God created you to be, and being happy about it. But I think allowing the Lord to soften some of my hard edges is what has made me a better friend, because nobody wants to be around somebody that's judging them. So yeah. No, you're good.
You're good.
Have fun.
I like that. It ties back to the lesson on kindness.
Yes, for sure.
Also, I will say, like, you have good friends around you, which is like evidence of what you're saying. But on top of that, like, you're just like really easy to connect with, which is really cool, because like, you know who you are, but then also you take the time to value and care about the people around you, and it shows.
I appreciate
you know?
That's what I'm trying to do, because I do care about people.
Yeah.
And I want them to know that they're loved and cared for.
Yeah. And it's like a domino effect. It only takes one domino to fall for all the others to experience a chain reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We have gone through these questions pretty fast. When was the last? Wait, you already told me this. Oh. Tell me something that you are grateful for.
I am so grateful for everything. I feel like I'm living an amazing life. I
Yeah.
never would have I didn't see myself where I am today.
Yeah.
Working at Kenneth Copeland Ministries, happily married. I have
Hey.
great friendships. Um, my kids are good.
Yeah.
um, I, I, I just am so blessed. I'm so thankful for my job. I'm so thankful for my family. I'm so thankful for the friends that I have and the network of support I have at work.
Yeah.
I am grateful for a healthy body that's able to move and live and be out here walking in nature. So
Yeah.
I have so much to be grateful for.
That's awesome. Two of the only things that light up all the sections of your brain are gratitude and music.
Oh,
So you already got half of it.
that's
And
awesome.
the other half, I'm sure you listen to music.
I
So
do.
it works out perfectly,
I love that.
which is great too, because like the more you can light up like the different sectors of the brain, minusing the fear center, because we don't need that.
We don't need that one.
But like the more elastic you can keep your brain, and the younger you can kind of stay
Nice.
mentally, because
We all
honestly,
want that.
nobody needs amnesia or any of that.
No.
So
No.
that's cool. Okay. Tell me about your role model.
Um, so my role model right now is Nancy Dufresne.
Hey.
She is the things about her
Yeah.
that inspire me are her relationship with the Lord,
Yeah.
but the way she loves people.
Yeah.
I feel like if I can obtain those,
Yeah.
not to mention she's gorgeous. I mean,
Yeah.
I just feel like I think her relationship with the Lord is what
Sustains her.
sustains her, but also it's why she cares about people the way she does.
Yeah.
She had told me a couple years ago, or maybe last year, that the reason she is so kind to people because she'll stay and talk to 300 people and
Yeah.
make sure every one of them gets a chance, and she'll come to an event and not have her security around her. She'll park with all the normal folks.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think that it's inspiring. Anyway, she'd said that when she was Miss Oklahoma, that's what taught her to value people, because she was more or less owned by the corporation who runs, Miss Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And so she had to be on 24/7. And so being
Yeah.
able to have that experience trained her to really appreciate the people she was interacting with and give them time and give them her attention. And I think she's just a beautiful inspiration to me of how to love people, how to serve God, and the
Yeah.
revelation that she brings just really resonates with me. So, and her style is just very close to mine, and so
Yeah.
I appreciate all the things.
That's awesome. And it reflects well, because I feel like she's in line with kind of how you are as well. So it's just that next level.
Yeah.
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 Also, one of the things that I admire about Nancy Dufresne is that her speaking and her writing coincides. Like they're both just as easy to understand. Yeah. They both parallel really well.
Uh-huh.
And that's so unique when like you can hear an author
Right.
through their words,
Yes.
just as well as you could hear their book
Yeah.
through their speaking.
That's true.
So that's a good choice. What makes you you?
Well, I mean, I like to think that, so back to our earlier conversation of competency and warmth,
Yeah.
equaling charisma. I don't consider myself a charismatic person.
Yeah.
But I definitely consider myself competent and warm.
Yeah.
so
So
that's
you're
what equals
charismatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, but I think what I was saying of just being comfortable in my own skin. I don't try to put on airs or pull anything over on anybody. Like, who I am is who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm typically happy.
Yeah.
I try to be kind. If there's a job to do, like, I'm focused and I get it done. People can count on me, and I'm caring. Like, I genuinely care about people and want them to feel good in my presence.
Yeah.
So I'm creative. I don't know.
A
That's
genius.
what makes me me.
Yeah. Which real quick, which of those do you think you lean more towards, warmth or competence?
Well, I naturally lean towards competence, but
Okay.
I am intentional about leaning towards warmth.
Okay. I could see that actually, because you're very structured,
Yes.
but then you're able to kind of like get outside of the bubble, which
Yes.
is cool.
Yeah, if I just went with my natural tendencies, I probably wouldn't interact with people
Yeah.
and I would just get the job done.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be that person.
I'm glad. I'm grateful. We're grateful. How do you treat people who can do nothing for you?
In my perfect, like when I'm in a good context, I treat them exactly the same as I would treat anybody else.
Yeah.
People have value just because of who they are.
Yeah.
And I don't care if they can do something for me or not. I want to make sure that they feel valued and seen and appreciated in every interaction they have with me.
That is amazing. See, I said something different this time. Okay, last question. Before the last question. But this is the true or false of true or falses. Rest is important. Why or why not?
Rest is hands down one of the most important things.
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier. We live in a very fast-paced, sometimes chaotic society. If we choose to interact with social media, we see everything around the world that's happening, and most of it being negative.
Yeah.
So, and not to mention, a lot of us are on the go constantly. And so if we don't take time to rest our minds, our spirits, and our bodies,
Yeah.
we burn ourselves out and end up sick.
Yeah.
So when you're stressed, your immune system is weakened. And so being able to rest puts you in a state of peace and a state where you can have healing manifesting. And so
Yeah.
it's absolutely, absolutely important.
I like that. You know, they say like you can sleep when you're dead, but that is one of the most
You'll die
selfish.
sooner.
Yes, but it's also one of the most selfish statements that someone can make because you're stealing what you have to offer from the people who are around
Wow.
you. So
True.
taking that rest, it's
You
an
have to.
investment in you,
Yep.
but it's so you can keep investing in others.
Well said.
So, you know, I'm around a genius, so
You are.
things
You
just start
are a
coming
genius,
out. Last question.
Okay.
What question would you like to leave for the next person? Just like the one that was left for you.
Yeah. So I think my question for the next person would be, okay, so we know it's important to rest. We know how helpful finding a peace and calm is, but how do you quiet your mind so that you can get into that rest?
Okay. I like that. Tune in next time to find out how do you quiet your mind so that you can tap into the rest. This has been Walk with Intention. Remember to get out there and do something intentional. This has been Dyanna. Thank you
Pleasure.
for being
so
on
much.
this. See y'all soon.